In today's market, there are a handful of mouses used by professionals and streamers as their exclusive mouse, and this one is no different. This is the Razer Deathadder V2, and it is the go-to for people like S4, Faker, and even Courage JD, just to name a few. But today we'll be taking a look to see whether or not this should be yours. So let's take a look. The Razer Deathadder V2 is not like normal gaming mouses out there, and for some people that might be a deal breaker, while for others that might be a good thing. Now, the Razer Deathadder V2 doesn't make use of an internal battery and USB cable to actually charge it, but rather makes use of either a AA or a AAA battery system, which you can then of course replace in the mouse itself. Now, what that means is you'll never have a USB cable that is actually cluttering up your desk, but it also means that you'll always have to have an extra battery on hand for in case the one you're using goes flat. Now, to replace the battery is pretty easy. All you have to do is actually pull off the top of the mouse, and then you'll see your two slots in there. One is for a single AA and one is for a single AAA, and you can choose whichever one you want to use. So whichever battery you have on hand is the one that you can actually use, and then you just slot it in, close the top of the mouse, and that is it. Now, for me, I don't know how I feel about this battery system just yet, but let me know down in the comment section below what you think. And then of course, while you're down there, please leave a like and subscribe if you want to stay up to date with all the videos that I make. And if you're interested in game and tech reviews, then this is the perfect place for you. Now, I have to say that Razer does state that the battery should last 235 hours when using the dongle, and that is around 10 days of constant use, meaning it should probably give you around 20 days, which isn't that bad, meaning that you'll only have to replace the battery probably once or twice a month. Then another thing that makes this mouse different to some other mouses out there is the ability to also connect via Bluetooth. And for me, I have to say this would have been a cool feature, especially back in the day when I still had a laptop. Then instead of actually having to go and pull out the dongle every time I want to use it on my laptop, all you can do is just switch over to Bluetooth and then connect via Bluetooth to your laptop. Now, this is also a cool feature for people who have limited USB ports, as you don't want to actually use up a USB port on a dongle, and then you can just connect via the Bluetooth and then save yourself an extra USB port to use for something else. Now, for me, I am still a fan of the 2.4 GHz connection, and while using this, I did mainly use it with the 2.4 GHz connection. Now, taking a look at the functionalities and spec of this mouse, you have your normal left and right click, you have your up and down scroll as well as your scroll click, then you have your two side buttons as well as your two DPI buttons, which can be found just left of the left click, and what you do with those is actually either go up or down in your DPI settings. Now, the DPI buttons do toggle between 5 different settings, and out of the box they are 400, 800, 1600, 3200, and 6400, with each having their own independent color assigned to them, which will be displayed by the LED indicator in the middle of the mouse. Now, the LED indicator for me is a cool little function, as you don't have to actually go into software to see which setting you are on, and rather you can just remember which color associated with which game, and that way when you're playing a certain game, you just switch it to that color, and then you know you're on the correct DPI setting. At the bottom of the mouse, you'll find your ultra slick mouse feet. You'll also find your switch button, which will switch between the mouse being off, being on 2.4 GHz, or on Bluetooth. You'll also have your dongle, which can be stored at the bottom of the mouse, and then you have your optical sensor, which is capable of doing up to 14,000 DPI. Now, to activate Bluetooth pairing on this device, all you need to do is hold in both side buttons as well as both DPI buttons until the blue light actually starts flashing on the mouse. And as soon as it starts flashing, that means it's in pairing mode. And once you've connected it to a device, it will stop blinking and turn solid. And that way you know you've actually paired with that device. Now, as far as looks goes, this is a very plain looking mouse. There is no RGB, and there's also no aggressive lines on this mouse at all. It fits in your hand very comfortably, and the mouse itself is fairly light, as it comes in between 86 grams and 103 grams depending on the battery that you use. And even though this isn't a lightweight mouse, it is still fairly light compared to other wireless mouses out there. Now, while using the mouse was really comfortable to use. All the buttons felt really great, and all of the buttons were really easily reachable, even the DPI buttons. Just note the DPI buttons are fairly high up on the mouse, and even though it was fairly easy for me to reach, it may not be that easy for you to reach, especially if your hands are smaller than mine. Now, for me, I really enjoyed the placement of the DPI buttons, as you don't have to really change your grip as much, and the only thing you need to do is just extend your left finger a little bit more to the left to actually reach those buttons. Overall, I was really happy with the Razer Deathadder V2. It performed really well in games. The mouse slid easily on my mousepad, and since it uses normal batteries, you'll never have a USB cable that actually make your setup untidy. For me, I also enjoyed the plain aesthetic of the mouse, as it isn't too gamey or too aggressive, and it performed really well in a wide variety of games, meaning it should be good for any setup or in any game that you actually want to go out and play with this mouse. Now, if you're looking to pick up a Razer Deathadder V2, I've left links to those down in the description below. And if you want to check out other Razer reviews, you can watch them up here. And then if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. And then, as always, until next time, cheers.